Hey, have you started your diet and ever wondered to yourself exactly how your body burns through stubborn body fat? I know it can be frustrating, especially when it seems to not want to go away. In this video, I've broken it down into 5 stages. If you're now starting out and are either obese or simply overweight, I know you want to see that weight gone. If you're a guy, you're probably above 25% body fat or 30% if you're a female. Regardless of which stage you're at, the first thing you need to know is that there's actually 2 types of fat, and your body will burn through one before tapping into the other. Starting off in stage 1, your body tends to burn off what's called visceral fat. You may not have much of this type of fat if you're already at an average level. However, it's important to know that this is the most dangerous type of fat. It's usually referred to as hidden fat, and the reason why is because it's the one that surrounds our organs. The problem is, if we're carrying too much of it, it can lead to a lot of negative side effects. The good news is that it's quite easy to burn off. Usually all it takes is you becoming more active, getting on a good diet plan, and remaining in a calorie deficit. When you start to lose visceral fat, one of the first things you'll start to notice is your waist will begin to get smaller. I usually find this to be a good indicator. This is why throughout the process, I always emphasize measuring yourself. Sometimes the visual changes aren't immediately noticeable, which can be frustrating. Now, the next type of fat is the one that we're all excited about losing, and it's located under the skin, which is called subcutaneous fat. This type of fat is pretty much what you can pinch on your body. Similar to visceral fat, you don't want to have too much of this either. It can lead to diabetes, heart disease, and a whole list of other health problems. So it's very important to keep your body fat within healthy levels. Once you're at this point, you've now entered stage 2. In stage 2, you can start to see your face and neck start slimming down. The higher your body fat, the more noticeable this will be. If you notice that when you gain weight, your face tends to fill out first, then this is likely where it'll come off around this time. However, if your neck and face stays relatively lean until later on, then you may not see much of a difference. Either way, in this stage, people will start to compliment you, asking you what it is that you're doing, and telling you to continue because it's working. Use this as motivation because it means that you're doing a good job. Go ahead and pat yourself on the back. Now, something important that I want to mention is that you cannot spot reduce fat. You see, when you lose fat, it happens systematically. You're losing fat throughout your entire body. It's just that we see it come off in certain areas because we tend to store them in those places. I know you hear a lot of people saying that if you target a certain area or do special exercises, it'll melt the fat right off. But that's simply not true. Your genetics ultimately determine how you store body fat, and it's through your diet and training over time how you'll burn it. Everyone wants that six-pack. For men, unfortunately, the stomach area is usually the last place the fat will come off. A little tip here is if you build up your ab muscles and get it well developed, you can still see an outline even at a higher body fat percentage. A good example of this is some of the power lifters. Now, stage 3 takes us further into fat loss. This is where you start seeing changes in places like your chest, your arms, back, and even legs. Make sure you're taking weekly progress photos because this will be a good visual indicator of what's happening in your body. It's real easy to look at yourself in the mirror and say that you're not seeing progress, especially if you're only looking at yourself from the front. Stage 3 is also where you'll notice your clothes might start fitting loose. This is a good thing because you'll see more definition in those areas that I just mentioned. If you were bulking before and now finally decided to start cutting, this is the point where you might start to question whether you're losing muscle. And the short answer is, it's not muscle loss that you're seeing. A lot of what you're noticing is loss of fluid in the muscle. This can cause you to appear flat. As soon as you increase your calories and carbohydrates, you'll fill out again. Don't panic because it's normal. For those of you out there solely focused on fat loss, you already know this is a good sign and you're one step closer to your goal. This brings us to stage 4. Visually, I'd put this around 10 to 12% body fat. When you arrive at this point, you'll experience something amazing. You'll see veins in your forearms and separation in your shoulders. A lot of you will also get that famous bicep vein or cephalic vein. Overall, you'll just look more vascular. Once you're here, a blurry 4-pack may even start to show, only leaving that lower portion of fat remaining. Pretty much everything starts to take more shape. The only downside here is that yes, your clothes will start to fit a little bit more loose, but the visual change is way more drastic, especially when you get a pump. People will ask you if you put on muscle or say that you've gotten bigger. Again, take this as a compliment because by now, most people have already achieved their goal physique. If you're ready to go a bit further and get even leaner, then this takes us into stage 5. In this stage, that blurry 4-pack that you had previously will now either be a well-defined 4 or even 6-pack. There won't be any more fat to pinch. Whatever remaining love handles you had is gonna be gone. Keep in mind though, not everyone will be able to have a 6-pack. That really depends on your genetics. This is where having well-developed abs can come into play. Even a 4-pack can look impressive. That's why training them like any other muscle group will make all the difference. Now level 5 isn't only about abs though. You can start seeing striations in your glutes, chest, or even jaw when you're chewing. Usually at this level, you're more than likely planning to get on stage. You don't find many people getting this far due to the amount of mental capacity it takes, unless there's a big goal like a physique or bodybuilding competition. And here, your body fat levels are usually 8% or less. One thing I want to mention is, maintaining these levels for long periods of time naturally is simply not sustainable. Even with steroids, it's still extremely difficult. When you see people this lean, they're usually not at their healthiest. They look amazing, but it's only held for hours at a time. While we're here, I want to touch on something that everyone should know. And that is, once you go below 10% as a man, you're not going to have much energy. Even if you're doing everything right, you're still going to feel drained. Energy drinks won't seem to do much either. Part of this is because your calories are at its lowest, you may be doing tons of cardio, and your testosterone levels are in the gutter. Libido will also be non-existent. Getting under 10% body fat means continuing what you've been doing for a longer period of time. There's no room for mistakes. You also have to be 100% spot on with your diet, down to the last gram. If you're competing, this is where you'll start to manipulate things like your water and sodium levels. This is to get all the water released from under the skin, making it appear super thin, almost like saran wrap. Now, I'm not trying to deter anyone from getting this lean, but it's just some things to keep in mind. Now, if you've all found value in this video and want more content like this, drop a like and consider subscribing. Again, thank you so much for your support. I'll see you all in the next video.